Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Intel Extreme Masters Taipei. We are nearing the end of day one in control. How are you feeling? How are you feeling? Not just about StarCraft. How are you
Wow.
feeling in general?
Thank you. I appreciate that. I have a little bit of a cold, and like
Okay.
I said, I'm on East Coast time zone right now, but even that's
Ah,
weird. And I've only been on one cruise in my life, just got back from a cruise, which is amazing, really fun. But actually, for like a day or two, you still feel the sway of the boat,
yeah.
which is weird.
You know what that makes you, Jeff?
What?
Imbalanced. We're ready to
Finally!
start Snute versus herO, ladies and gentlemen. Our last best of 5 of the evening. We are loaded in to Dusk Towers. You didn't expect that, did you?
I didn't. You
Spotting
got
in
me.
the bottom left, representing Team Liquid, we have Snute, who, you looking? He says GLHF. I don't know why he said question mark.
Yeah, interesting.
He's still on Kespa rules, where you just don't say
You
anything.
can't talk to me right
You
now.
can't speak to me. The last time I spoke to someone, it was to save him from being disqualified. Maybe
Oh,
that's
that's
the only
right.
You know, by the way, of course, it's CJ Antis herO in the Northeast.
The smiling assassin.
Does he ever say GLHF if his opponent doesn't say it? That's the question. Is it like programmed in, maybe programmed into your brain if you're in Kespa?
Wow. What's so cool about these guys is a lot of those Kespa guys, top tier Koreans, know and play with each other so much that kind of stuff doesn't really matter to them. There's no BM either way. They can say anything.
We're just playing
and they'll just
games,
laugh.
okay?
Well,
Okay,
no,
this isn't the safe space where you have to say GLHF and GG.
No, that's not what I'm saying. It is. It's super serious business for them, but it's just this is one game of like 40 they've played that week against that guy. So when herO doesn't say it to Soulkey or something like that, there's no, do they hate each other? Nah. They either can't or they don't care because they're gonna laugh and high five and rub each other's shoulders in 10 minutes because they're like best friends.
All right. Well, tell me about some PvZ. What are your experiences? You have a double hatch for pull from Snute. Everyone I've been talking to pretty much generally complains with the last patch. It's hard to deal with early Ling aggression, but I guess this map is probably the best map for defending.
Yeah, I feel like part of the reason why this matchup is particularly difficult for Protoss right now is because Zerg finally got that go-between unit, the Ravager, that is really good offensively, decent enough defensively, not super expensive, and has transition. You're not punished if you're stuck on 10 Ravagers. They actually have an effect. They have efficacy all the way to the end of the game, so they're really good that way. Muta's very powerful. Stargate, hard to punish because of the speed of the game. If you open up Stargate, it was always true in Heart of the Storm too, you had to do decent damage, and if you didn't, you're in a lot of trouble, but all of a sudden, because of the power of things like Lurkers and the D-power of things like Colossus, you don't have that amazing unit to fall back on that can kind of make up the difference between your tech pass. So
it's funny to think about it, but like the Heart of the Swarm Colossus could actually probably still truck most Zerg armies in this game.
Most armies in general, they
were
silly.
I mean, it was the unit for anti-ground, and
it was silly. It was a bad unit, to be honest.
It's funny to think about it, and I do enjoy, as like a commentator and a player. Obviously, as a player, I enjoy not seeing Colossi, but as a spectator watching non-Colossus games, I find it more fun.
Vastly more interesting, and that was the problem, is they were too good. So they were just prevalent in all three matchups, and they demanded that you responded to them with your tech choice, because if you didn't hardcore deal with them, they would just dominate and truck over. So that's why they were bad. And Blizzard agrees with that. David Kim has kind of always been pretty vocal about that.
I'm glad that sort of, the end game GG units like that have kind of been taken out a little bit, at least to some extent in this matchup.
I agree.
Maybe some Protoss players would argue with me on the account of like Lurkers being strong as well, but some of the guys that I've talked to have said that there are some compositions that people have been playing with more that have helped a lot against those styles. I think some people have been saying like Zealot Archon can kind of just batter down on top of them really fast as well.
Kind of.
The
matchup's
unbeatable.
It's so true of StarCraft all the time. Like there's certain things that happen. We play our old meta against it. It absolutely does not work because of just how high-powered everything is in StarCraft 2. And for a while, we just complain that it is completely broken and impossible to play. As time goes on, we kind of figure it out. Sometimes maps will change, sometimes not, as we kind of live right now. Sometimes patches will happen as well. But for the most part, it's a lot of us. It's a lot of us just realizing how you have to play with that. And that being said,
thankfully the Oracle will still always be relevant. As
especially in Legacy Void, it does get a little bit harassed there, but I was going to say, right now in PvZ, it has to be a 2-base all-in, or you go for a mega fast third to try and deal with that Zerg, especially if they do 2-hatch before spawning pool. And in this case, we can see it is going to end up being a fast third from herO, and I'm really happy to see that. I think these games have been cool today. We haven't had a lot of macro games.
No, not too many games have actually managed to make the distance of a long game. Second Oracle comes in, doesn't do quite as much damage as the second Queen is still there. And a lot of Queen coverage with a Spore in the natural to keep Snute nice and safe. Total workers killed, 9. Total worker
Look at
count,
the units tab, by the way.
60-some, 49 props.
Look at that units tab.
Talk to me.
Zerg.
It's a lot of
5 Zerglings, 5 Queens, 63 drones. And that's part of what's the tough thing about Protoss right now. Like a lot of people, again, what's difficult with the matchup? Well, if you go for a fast third and a Zerg is on top of it, like we see from Snute, they will be so minimalist about everything else, and they will just plow up to 75 drones and then show up with a very difficult, like, Roach, Ravager, Ling timing attack. Or, if you're not ready for that, by the way, you just die. Or they just continue their tech on to Hive. So that's what's nice about the Oracle opening. We should see herO completely on top of this. If he starts to see units pouring out and a 4th base taken, he should be in position to try and do something about that.
Yep, he's adding a lot of gateways. He's going into Blink, +1 attack. Meanwhile, Roach's speed upgrade is about close finishing. Zergling speed finishing up as well. War Prism, always a nice choice. Sort of buy some time, push the Zerg player back. These Oracles see this building hatchery.
Immediately.
I think, I was going to say, if they'd immediately started attacking, they probably could have canceled it. Maybe he still will be able to. Oracles have a crazy amount of damage output.
Man, this Nidus Worm is so brilliant. I love it.
Why?
I was noticing that there was no upgrade, so I was saying, okay, this is going to be a timing attack. And that's cool. That's really tough to deal with. It should be Ravager, Roach, Ling. But with this Nidus Worm, he's going to attach something like, I mean, there's 3 more Queens coming out. So what is this, 11 Queens?
Oh, he's at 8. He's at 8 Queens, right? He's going to go straight up to 11 Queens. And with all of those, there's obviously no airplay that's going to work against this.
No.
Is he going to build Ravagers with this or just pure Roach?
There's no reason not to. I mean, maybe he doesn't because he knows something I don't, but just Ravagers are not that expensive and they add so much. There we go. We see 4 there.
Oracle in control is correct once again as herO tries to step out onto the map. He has his Oracle tagging the army, but when you see this many Queens, like, what's going through your mind?
Well, he doesn't know Snute very well, so I don't know that he necessarily knows it's an attack just yet. He is going to pull back, and that is the right choice because these sentries, well, maybe he's not pulling all the way back, but he's pulling back a little bit. Blink Stalkers out here, cool. They have to be careful of Zerglings, of course, but otherwise they can do a little bit of damage, kind of feel out what's coming, and then back away.
I feel like the Oracle tagging is really useful as well, because if he tries to put those Queens in the Nidus, he'll see the Nidus just with that alone, right? I don't know if he's spotted it yet. No, he hasn't. This Oracle shouldn't make it outside of the natural.
It might. Oh, nope.
Oh, nope. So now the tag is still lasting on a few of these. He can build a Nidus for reinforcements or try to do like a backstab with it while he pushes. I don't know. He doesn't have vision, actually, no, to be fair. Yeah, he's going to build the Nidus right there, right in his face. The Lings run up to the Stalkers. He's trying to get on top of those as well, but using the Corrosive Ball to knock down the pylons.
And this is so smart. Like, it's right up in his face. So there's going to be creep there. He's going to drop a couple of tumors immediately. He's just continuously adding more Ravagers. And this is a 4-base timing attack. That 4th base is not saturated at all. It's basically a ruse or just purely for production. But these sentries, again, this is something that we aren't really seeing in the PvZ meta. Like, a lot of people have kind of given up on it because lurkers are so strong against them. But in this case, sentries can actually hold this off for a while.
Yeah, I mean, he can use that Corrosive Ball to try to break those down, but that means he's not using them aggressively.
Well, that Nidus was weird.
Yeah, he's like, Nidus in your face. I mean, does it give vision enough?
Nah, he was thinking he would be able to crack this ramp and get up there and then be able to immediately reinforce.
I love the defensive stasis for it, though, if he tries to run up front. But, you know, so far, so good. I mean, he's not dying, and he's getting disruptors out, which are going to give him a lot more firepower versus this army.
Yeah, he's making 2 at a time, too, which is really powerful. And as you said, he's actually his unit count is fairly high. He hasn't lost a lot. He has all these pylons for, I guess, options, but for the most part, you don't have that many photon overcharges anymore.
Yeah, and the thing is, the Purification Nova also works against buildings, so he could use it to kill the Nidus, too.
He's getting a little bit ahead of himself. He needs to be careful with the Disruptor. Great micro here from Snute as well. And he is going to circle around, but his army's quite dwindled, and we don't see a return just yet of the Nidus Worm, I don't think. No. So I feel like Snute, yeah, he's kind of spiritually given up on this. He's going to back away. And he's got a lot of catching up to do. Like, the 4th base immediately goes down for herO, but tech-wise, he's in such a good spot with those Disruptors coming out.
Yeah, and he has that of Revelation, of course, so you can still see where Snute's army is. He knows, I think seeing the Lings is super important, too, because he knows he's not going to get backstabbed by moving out onto the map without him being able to see that, so he can confidently step forward. He is going pretty far deep onto creep, but there's the Guardian Shield popped. First Disruptor ball.
I was about to say hero's doing such a good job being patient with its disruptors.
And then I'm like so far in
yeah.
the creep, but the Prism gets into the main base during all of this as well, so he's got a bunch of adapts. He's going to use that phase shift to move over into the natural expansion, while he continues to press the front.
Yeah, such good play from herO here, and this is where he's just a special player. Like, there were roaches to try and run down these adapts, but Snute just kind of didn't see them for a few seconds. Huge disruptor shot goes off on the front lines. A second one triggered as well.
And he's just blowing everything up now with those disruptors. That's disgusting.
And Snute's having just a tough time dealing with the all fronts of this attack that's going on inside the base. It's here. Snute finally does clean up what's going on inside his main base, but his fourth base is not very saturated. It's just going to die.
And the Prism is here, so he can reinforce directly into the fight, as the Ravagers have used their Corrosive Bile on the front line. So a bunch more Stalkers get brought into the fray, and those disruptor shots way too good. herO takes game number 1 against Snute.
What a beautiful game. And that's one of those games where I really like Snute's decision making. I thought he had a really good opening, very economically sound, was savvy in knowing that herO was not going to be able to harass him, so he just shot all the way up to 75 drones.
I want to ask you, do you think, like, I'm trying to see, because it didn't look like he built any Phoenix.
Let me finish my point, though, real quick, because I don't want to just say Snute did a great job and then he died.
Okay, because I am really curious about something.
Yeah. What I want to say, though, is that Snute had a good timing attack planned as well. I don't think there's necessarily a flaw there. This is just kind of a cool example of herO just playing exceptionally well. He didn't get lucky in the build. He didn't have a huge Dark Templar counterattack. He just controlled his army so well. He deflected that attack, and Snute was just kind of out-handled back at home. Go ahead, your question.
Do you think the push itself was meant to be directly at the front? Or was there like something
From
caused
Snute?
by, like, he didn't use an Overseer, he didn't have any Overlords by to get the Nidus into the main base with the natural. And I feel like the biggest thing that worked in favor of him was fighting on that ramp, because he could force field him out. Like, I'm not sure if Snute wanted to go for a Nidus elsewhere, but
well, I think you're onto something, Nathaniel. Like, I really do feel like a lot of Protoss players crumple to that attack. They either take too fast of a fourth, or they bleed out too many Stalkers, and a lot of them don't have sentries, by the way, which is kind of a weird point to make. The philosophy has really been, well, Corrosive Bile crushes force fields, but what ends up happening is, as long as you're not losing units, you are delaying the Zerg. Like, every time they have to do a volley of Corrosive Bile to just stop the force fields, they're not surging forward. They're waiting for their Corrosive Bile to come back as well. It's not waiting that long, but enough time for the Protoss to continue to survive.
yeah, and even then, I think it's still pretty interesting, because a lot of Zerg players, when you like look at it, and it's like, well, how'd the decision making break down? It's like, well, if you use all your Corrosive Biles and then they step out and try to attack you once you break the force fields, like, you're not just breaking the force field so that you can try to attack. You're also breaking the force field so that they can push into an army that has no Corrosive Biles. So I guess it's like a really awkward thing where you're like, you'd rather wait out the force fields and not miss your chance.
I think you crush them still, but it's an interesting kind of new element to PvZ. Like, it used to be, force fields are up, well, there's nothing I can do, so of course I wait. Now it's, well, I can crush those, but in doing so, are my Zerglings up against it? Am I hurting them as well? Do I want to move forward? Is it too early to move forward? So it's kind of, we're going to have to figure it out back and forth and see if it is. Maybe you're right. Maybe you don't crush them and you wait. I guess it's obviously situational.
Yeah.
But just, I have so much respect for herO's play. Like, I know so many Protoss that in the midst of that, the philosophy is, well, I have to have a Warp Prism in their base warping, and I need to get some return on them, because otherwise they're saturating fourth while applying pressure. But herO just had he lost like no Stalkers, like almost at all. In that frontal push, and he just had a big enough army that he was like, oh, you know what? I can push forward, and Snute gave up on it with no upgrades behind it and no drones at the fourth, and that was kind of the beginning of the end.
Especially the point about no upgrades. There's not a lot of longevity to that style, no matter what you do, and I don't think it's not very well set up for any other type of follow-up, like into
really needs to do damage,
anything of that sort. Okay, we've got everybody in the lobby now, and we are ready to go. Second map, Laralac Crest. I mean, can we say this? I mean, in my mind, I assume this is a Zerg favorite map against Protoss.
I mean, I
mean, you have two ramps
yes.
into your natural. Neither ramp can be blocked by 3 buildings. So in my brain, my first thought is it's very hard to wall.
It's tough. It can end up being a good Blink Stalker map, but also Blink Stalker and PvZ is in a weird spot where, like, if you get the right composition that you're facing, it can be fantastic. But Snute's been doing a good job of adding Lings, having Roaches and Ravager, and that composition's very difficult for Blink Stalkers, because one bad Blink, they're all gone. They're absolutely all gone. And the map's not big enough to make up the difference in time for that, too. All
right, well, let's find out. It's cross spawns, so at the very least, a little bit extra distance between the two. And in the bottom left, we have good Snute, a red Zerg player. Another question mark. You know what? I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt. I'm going to assume that RPCs or something. I think it might be like a special character that the StarCraft engine or whatever doesn't show.
Okay.
I know that if you type a symbol that they can't display or for whatever reason, it shows up as a question mark.
Okay.
So
I like it.
I tried to put some copy pastas in game before, and it just showed up as question marks. So I'm going to assume that was it.
You are the dank meme scientist. You would know this.
We have to test these things. In the top right, of course, currently leading 1-0 is CJ Entis' herO. Best of 5, as we've had all night. So,
and I'm excited. Game 1 ended with a overwhelming Protoss victory, like just crushing down. But the execution of the two players was really something beautiful. I love Snute's strategy. I loved him punishing the Protoss for his opening. I liked the idea behind the timing attack, and then it put herO in a position where it's like, all right, herO, show us your micro. And I'll tell you what, herO is one of the best players on planet Earth, and a big part of the reason for that is because of his micro. Like, he, of course, is strong in all categories of StarCraft, but I love watching him control an army.
He was one of the guys leading that Blink Stalker revolution in PvZ towards the end of Heart of the Swarm as well, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, MC, I think, was like the grandfather of that. So many of his games ended with just a wave of Blink Stalkers. But herO was the guy that at the Kespa top level kind of brought in the, like, actually, if you control these really well, you can kill basically anything. And it was actually kind of boring for a little while, because that's how all his games were.
Can you please get better at dealing with Blink Stalkers?
Yeah.
I'm like winning too many games.
He won a IEM Taipei, or no, that was actually SOS that won in the finals. But anyways, herO's got to the finals basically off of Blink Stalkers in all 3 matchups as the primary opening.
Difference in openings this time around. Obviously, no fast third base. There's nothing at that third yet for Snute, but he's going for the fast link speed. And I think we just kind of talked about why, or at least I was kind of talking about why I feel this map favors Zerg to some extent, is that you have this opening. And the way the wall is done, you have 2 ramps that lead into your natural, and they're both very wide. You know, this would be your main ramp on a map like Ruins of Ceres, something like that. And then this ramp is obviously just very, very large. So since you can get into both sides, walling it off is very difficult. You have to start your wall here. I mean, I feel like run-bys are something that you see almost every game from Zerg on this map.
It's an expensive wall-in. I mean, it's like 3 gateways at best at the large one, and then if you wall in that other ramp, I don't know. I mean, a lot of people will try to go over the rocks to try to knock those down, but with a 2-base speed link opening like this, if you tried that, it's very likely you don't end up knocking those rocks down and instead get a flood of Zerglings. But also something, Nathaniel, you were talking about off stream as well, is the prevalence now of drop links, something we've seen for sure, but 8 speed Zerglings in your main base if you don't have a pylon, or perhaps you have only 1. And all of a sudden, photon overcharges are not nearly as prevalent as well because of their higher costs. So
yeah, I've been especially keeping an eye on Snute's infrastructure. He hasn't built an evolution chamber, and he also didn't mind the 25 gas necessary to make a drop overlord.
Okay.
His speedlings do catch this adept out of the map. It's going to barely psionic transfer just in the last second. But there's the overlords, of course. It's 25 minerals, 25 gas, and suddenly it becomes a drop overlord.
That's a cool one, by the way, I like that. Instead of walling off both the ramps, just going for the next one.
This right here is pretty much what we were just talking about. These lings are going to be a constant threat in that natural expansion, as he's going to have to leave some space open to get units out of his base.
And he just sonic transferred that. Okay.
Well,
we keep seeing these friendly
this keeps happening.
Interactions.
It's like, well, I mean, I could have killed him, but I guess not.
More lings coming out, but also drones for Snute, so it doesn't look like it's going to be necessarily just a speedling all in. He does have, as we can see here, the Spore Crawler as well, and there's the Oracle. Going to get a couple of kills, but for the most part, not as much as it would like.
Nope. Loses quite a few of its hit points as well. There's still a lot of lings out on the map. Overall, worker count is favoring herO. If you can just continue to hold on against this. There's 4 adepts inside that natural expansion, but a couple of probes are going to get knocked down.
And I like that from Snute, by the way. Like, losing Zerglings is so not a big deal as long as something's happening. And I say that very specifically. Like, if they're scouting, that's worth 50 or 100 minerals. That's kind of what Terrans pay with scans. It's kind of what Protoss pay with, like observers and hallucination. Kind of. But Zerglings, if they can get a few probes and information, holy Toledo, we're talking about good stuff.
Yep. And now with that Stargate play, of course, being followed up. A couple of Phoenix to help pitch in. Resonating Glaives coming in, though, for the Adept. So he's going to get that 45% attack speed boost. Makes them a lot better versus Zerglings, especially when they get surrounded. But
is that a complete wall-in at the natural?
No,
okay.
You're
so
the Protoss player, man.
No, he's got space right there at the gas. So almost a complete wall-in. He'll probably leave behind an Adept. But I feel like we're about to see
big 2-base
a 2-base timing attack. And it's going to be very Adept-heavy, which is going to be super interesting.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times people do that with Oracle backup, but there's just this odd pair of Phoenix going around, and a third and a fourth coming out as well. And this is part of the tough time with Stargate openings. Like, they're coming out very slowly. The Zerg knows to make a bunch of drones, so maybe herO's like so incredible that he's trying to trigger that. But
herO is really good, so I can't.
It's possible.
I can't say that that's the kind of thing that would blow me away. We do have roaches coming out now for Snute, but are there going to be enough? You know, all these questions coming in. He's waiting on 4 overlords right now to complete before he can actually build any more units.
Well, unfortunately for him though, like this is a mega old reference, but for those of you that watched like TSL and Mondragon back in the Wings of Liberty days, there was a counter chart and it was phoenixes. Well, you counter with roaches, and that's exactly what's happening here. There's no drones coming out. Snute is not being tricked, so these phoenix, they're pretty okay against ravagers. So I assume that's what he's hoping to do with these. But again, here comes a bunch of queens. Is Snute just going to Nidus Worm and back up the ravagers? Oh, wow.
Well, he's just going to phase. He's going to teleport right inside of his base.
There's actually no units. Okay, there are some roaches here.
He
Good.
picks up some of the queens in the back. I mean, trying to get the ones with the most energy, of course, is going to help a lot. He's going to teleport all of his adepts away from this fight, possibly as the next wave comes in. He's like, yep, okay, we're going to start playing Ring Around the Rosie.
He gets all the queens. I mean, there are roaches here, so the adepts themselves not going to do much. But the Phoenix kill all the queens without really losing anything. That's a pretty decent trade, if I might say so myself, for the Protoss player.
Yeah, and the Phoenix are still chipping away quite a bit at this. Some of the adepts do escape. He warped some in at home to defend the lane counterattack. And I like this because he's taking the other third base as well, so he doesn't have that prime position to get any damage done.
I mean, this is huge.
He's just dealing with all these adepts just constantly running around his base, picks off another queen, slapping these drones around. And of course, you mentioned it, without the queens, I mean, these Phoenixes can just dance around all day.
And they're at critical mass. Like, they don't care about a single spore crawler anymore. They're picking up all the queens. Like, this is unfolding before Snute's eyes. He's like, what is going on? I had 8 queens. Why am I all of a sudden losing the Phoenix? Well, it's because of that added backup. And behind us, the third base is being taken. The Phoenix count continuing to crawl up, by the way, so unless there's going to be Hydras or something, these can actually affect, like, you can't make Ravagers against this. They will just kill every Ravager.
Yeah, and you can see the Dark Shrine is on the way as well. He's looking for that finishing blow, of course. I think he realized there's no lair yet for Snute. He does finally have one starting up. But yeah, I mean, you've got this many Phoenix just killing roaches. You know you're in a bad spot as Zerg.
Well, Snute behind this is droning up, so it's not the end of the world, but he's just now taking his 4th. He's not really teched up. You'll notice Evolution Chamber's coming out, but on that production tab, we don't see upgrades. Like, there's the first upgrade. There's the lair. Snute has been, I mean, he's just been stagnated beyond belief. He's in such a bad spot right now.
Yeah, and, you know, herO just constantly looking for things to kill. He manages to grab another queen. He's going to go for another one. And
he'll kill them all. He doesn't care.
He's going to go one after another.
I mean, with that spore crawler, he saves the other 2 queens.
And
I think that's what
another one.
happens.
Just amazing Phoenix control here from herO. Like, just the way he set himself up, and now he's got the adepts at the front. He's pulling the roaches away. He's really just distracting him, and he gets another queen.
And this queen's going to wander probably too far forward as well. Here come the adepts. Snute not really reacting to this. He was still fighting them over at the 4th.
And another queen. This
is beautiful.
No
really
injects.
Solid play.
No injects, no anti-air. He can even help if he wanted to try, if he had the energy to pick up some roaches while these adepts come in, kill even more drones.
I'm in love with the synergy between the adept and the Phoenix, though. Like, each time the adepts show at another base, these Phoenix are picking up 1 or 2, maybe 3 roaches.
This style is so cool, you know. This was like a Roddy build or something, you know. Just a little, it's kind of out there, you know. It's
a
like
little bit.
Phoenix adept just feels a bit odd. Now he's okay. He's mixing in some immortals. Now the blink is coming in, but what an interesting, you know, way to pick an opponent apart.
4 Dark Templar. Zergs, join hands and prepare to bathe yourselves in these salty, salty tears. I mean, there's 2 spore crawlers. So that's going for Snute here, and he is reacting fairly quickly. Not going to be able to pick off. So, okay, never mind.
Yeah, with that pickup
unclasp your hands, save the tears.
He does manage to save the DETs with that pickup range on the Warp Prism, but he's taken a 4th base.
Snute's been battered.
More Warp Gates finishing. Snute has managed to make it to Infestors, so I'm guessing he's trying to use Fungal to lock down the Phoenix for Ravager shots or lock down the Adepts.
Yeah.
I mean, lock down anything, I guess, at this point.
But second Robotics Bay, like, the game's kind of evolving past Snute. Snute's still at the mid-game aspect. Like, the Infestors are going to be a nice thing, but again, Infestors have a tough time with Phoenix. Like, if they can't land a critical Fungal and there's not a decent enough number of queens to finish them off, it won't be enough.
DTs get dropped once again. One of them does get picked off. 2 destroyed. Yeah, killing more queens.
Can you show me how many queens have died?
I was actually ready to show. I don't think this overlay has that button in it.
Someone tell us, because this is a game of regicide, man. I would venture a guess it's over 20.
That's a lot of dead queens. 6 Infestors are on the way. He's like basically praying at this point that this will end the Phoenix madness.
And I love the 4th base timing attack behind this, or not timing. Anyways, the 4th base timing behind this. The Phoenix give him ultimate information. Snute is being conditioned to defend. He's back at home. He's like barely holding on. He's making units, but these units are not to attack. They're to survive. And by the time he gets out of his base, like he might even fungal all these Phoenix. Good for him. He needs to. But he doesn't have the anti-air to finish these guys off. So yeah, a couple of Phoenix die. There's the good fungals. This is nice. But the world outside of Snute's base has evolved beyond him. It's double Disruptor. There's Immortals out there. There's Blink Stalkers. There's an equal base Protoss that's knocking on the door of your 4th base. This is a very treacherous place to be.
Yep, the Immortal Stalker army shows up. He's got DTs mixed in with this as well, and you mentioned those Disruptors.
He can recall out if he wants.
And he's going to throw that Purification over, grabs one of the Infestors and a few Roaches. As he steps back, double Time Warp is going to be dropped to help, I guess, create a slow path to his army.
He's so slow now.
Just going to feed everything. And try to dodge the Disruptors then. Ooh.
And herO, this is a thing of beauty. Like, this is your future Protoss. In the hands of a good player, this is what it looks like. And herO is he's just manhandling Snute in a very, very surgical kind of way. Like, Snute's up in supply. He's re-adding his 4th base, so I'm not ready to call him dead just yet, but man, is this going to be an uphill battle for him.
He's sending a lot to counterattack against that 3rd base, trying to get some work done here.
But what is this? Like, what a weird... Look at this. Couple of... I mean... he knows Dark Templar out there, so I mean...
It's a motley assortment of Zerg forces, to say the least. He just dives on top, just blinks right on top of it. He's like, okay, just kill these, save my probes, and then go back home and kill you.
I think he's freeing up supply. He wants to... I mean, he's adding the Ultra's Cavern. And I think he's also buying time. He's like, hey, go back to your base and defend for a minute. Like, let me catch my breath. If he can get Ultralisk out, it's not so bad. There is 3 Immortals out there. But again, Ultralisk in Legacy of the Void are different. They are nigh unstoppable. We do have Storm coming in and more Immortals.
Are they, out of curiosity, because I'm not sure. Like, I really don't know. Are they the same, though, like, for ZVP? The Immortals still do a good job if you have enough, right?
They dictate composition. I mean, if you have 4+ Immortals, you're okay. You're okay. They're strong, but they're not like they are in PvZ, where there's like basically no answer.
All right, well, it gets a nice Disruptor attack.
These are great
4 Ravagers there as well, and herO's just really starting to just lay into him now. Those Disruptors really getting some key shots. He has Vipers, so could go for the Blinding Cloud Fungal combination of Doom.
Well, let's be fair here. I've been pretty down on Snute, but here he goes. Great abduction, starting to actually cut into that Immortal count just before we start to see some Ultralisks, but again, herO is going to surge back. There's been a little bit of a defensive line set up here. Zerglings are quite a bit more powerful. 4 Ultralisks queued up as well. And there's the chitinous plating. The downside is his upgrades are, again, quite lackluster, but to be fair, so are herO's. herO's are not great at all.
He's got some Templar ready to move forward now as Storm finishes up, so he can Storm, he can feed back, he has options, he has choices at this point. He's going to step in, starting to attack these Spine Crawlers, looking for some foothold as he gets a feedback off, killing one of the Infestors, continues to step forward, and this 4th base of Snute looks like it's going to get knocked down. He's got the DTs in here as well. More Infestors going to go down. I love this. The preemptive Storm is just saying, yeah, come at me. Come on down. Throws another fungal. He does hit a good number of these units. He gets a Blinding Cloud too as the Ultralisks pop, but the Immortals are not under that Blinding Cloud. If he can just focus those on, he should be able to get them. The Purification Novas also help shred those Ultralisks, and herO killing the Ultras. I mean, there's nothing else.
It is so fun to watch him play StarCraft. Like that was how he controlled that army. That was not an A move, ladies and gentlemen. This is not mundane Protoss that just wins the game for itself. That was a handcrafted victory from herO over one of the absolute best foreigners who is not playing bad, by the way. The score is 2-0, but I'm impressed with Snute. Snute had his moments in time in both these games where I think he was really testing the limits of herO, but man, this is scary stuff from herO. He's playing so well.
Really, really good play. I mean, the Stalker control was phenomenal. The Phoenix Adept play just blew my mind. I have seen mass Adept sort of styles on Laralek in most matchups, but I haven't seen it paired that well with a really heavy Phoenix composition. And the way that he controls both at the same time, it's like he's playing Archon mode with himself or something.
Well, it comes down to a critical moment in time because there definitely is kind of a critical mass of Queens versus Phoenix. Obviously, if you somehow had 40 Phoenix, it doesn't matter how many Queens you have for the most part. But that's not the case. He had like 7 or 8, and he was facing 8 or so Queens. If those Queens could kind of see what was coming and was like, oh God, these Adepts are phase shifting on top of my Queens with the Phoenix outside of Spore Crawler range, and there's no Roaches there, If all those things fall into place, it's an amazing moment in time for herO, and he's able to really take that advantage and run with it. But there's so many times where no one's that bold with the adepts. There is a Spore Crawler or two there, and it really only takes 1 or 2. And if that fight goes the way of Snute, all of a sudden he has 4 bases, he has Ravagers, he's getting up to hive.
He can turn that game around on a dime. And I will say though, you know, aside from all the damage that he took, Snute did a really good job of actually getting to that tech. Like, you consider the beating he took, he still managed to get out Infestors, Vipers, and Ultralisks.
The thing is, I'm telling you, that fight that kind of determined the game over at the 4th base over there, I feel like if herO doesn't control that as well as he does, he obviously doesn't just die. He has 4 bases behind that. He's got great tech. He's in okay shape. But I feel like Snute takes the advantage. I really do. And I feel like a lot of Protoss would mishandle that fight. But the Disruptor shots on top of all the Ultralisks, kind of navigating outside of the blinding clouds, controlling the Stalkers as well as he did, just everything on top of everything was just so well played.
Yeah. We're loaded into what could be the last. No question mark from our Protoss this game. Maybe someone messaged him. He's like, yeah, you know, it actually doesn't show up anymore.
Oh,
it's like, oh, okay. It's supposed to be like my. Is that like an emoji that he likes? But he's like, actually, emoji doesn't work in the StarCraft client, which we should fix. But in the bottom left, he's up 2-0 in this best of 5.
I like the use of the word fix there.
Yeah. Oh, it's a problem for sure.
It's broken.
Just imagine if Bly, by the way, look at this fast speed coming out of Liquid Snute here in the top left. Just imagine if Bly could actually have his clan tag be a fire emoji.
I imagine that world, and I don't necessarily think it's any better. But, you know, it's fine. To each their own. The more the merrier. And just this map, by the way, kind of the same problems as Laralek Crest for Protoss in the sense that you can fast expand, but that's a large ramp. That ramp is far away from where your actual nexus is, so if they get past that, if they drop past that, you're in a little bit of trouble. It doesn't have the double ramp, of course, so a little bit of a different dynamic.
Yeah.
But as we can see, and Nathaniel's pointed out, we do see Snute changing it up a little bit. This is a 1 base rush. Speed, very quick. Queen coming out at the same time as the initial 8 lings. And Snute gets lucky here with an Overlord Scout, so he's not going to waste time going anywhere else.
herO went Nexus first, so
he's in a lot of trouble.
This should be the ideal scenario for Snute to take this game.
Absolutely. And herO doesn't have a probe out on the map, so unless his instincts are on some kind of weird god level that we're
unless he's like a wizard and we don't know that he's using black magic to summon visions of his opponent's builds.
He's making his ult just now. The Cybernex core is, of course, going to be completely irrelevant. It's going to try to make...
Well, he's going to see these lings now. His probe sees it, and he immediately turns around.
What can he do, though? I mean, there's no Mothership core coming out at any time relevant.
There's no way to defend this Nexus, is there?
There shouldn't be. I mean, the Zealot will pop out, and Snute should just start working on the Nexus. There's no pylon. He should maybe send 1 ling to go poke up the ramp and see what we're looking at. And the second he sees... Oh, my God. We're in sync together. But he sees the Cybernex core just now finishing. Snute right now is feeling good. This is a good feeling for Snute. That pylon's never going to live, by the way.
And denying this base, got to feel nice as he starts a hatchery for himself. He's going to pull probes. herO, desperate to save this base, bringing probes on to help for this Zealot, but the Zealot gets picked off very quickly. Second Zealot comes down. Mothership core is out.
He's got to be so careful with this Photon Overcharge. He really does.
Pulling probes. What a madman.
Adept is about to come out. The Adept would add in a big way. Snute is adding a hatchery behind him, but still Link's coming out. He hasn't needs to do a lot of damage.
He hasn't killed any probes either. Like, so now he's in... Is this worst case scenario for Snute that he actually...
pretty bad.
This is a really rough spot to be in. He's going to run around towards that natural, trying to get on top of the Adept and the Zealot, but there's the overcharge. Probe's going to block off the top with a pylon.
Beautiful play from herO, and I think Snute's all of a sudden realizing...
And he's still just building links. He's like, oh, crap.
Well, he's just going to try to flood this, but... I mean, letting that pylon finish is going to haunt his dreams if this continues to go the way it is so far.
And he's going to try to move into that mineral line, trying to bait these forces around. I guess he wants to bait the overcharge, but until
There's not a second one. There shouldn't be a second one.
He doesn't have the energy for it. I think he's at something like 40-some energy now. Yeah, 43.
So he will in a second, but even that, herO has to be careful because he's basically going to have 1 overcharge to do something with. He's going to lose all of his ground forces here.
Hey, let's all these ground forces get surrounded out here. And he does
there's
have
the overcharge. That's a whiff. There's no probe
he gets by the Adept. He gets by the Adept. He's made it into the main base of herO, and the probes are getting pulled back in the opposite direction. But that's got to be it, right?
This should be endgame moments here. We're starting to see probes die in droves. He's in on the base. There's no pylon there. He should go for that pylon. Actually, that's huge. No, kill the pylon. I mean, he's going to win no matter what, but man, that pylon's a big deal. It stops... Yeah, okay. That's fine. Wow. There's no coming back from it, but that pylon stops Warp Gate, it stops an Adept coming out.
For the best of 5, that game aside, this matchup gets pretty weird now because we have Central Protocol and Arena left. Central Protocol is the next map.
And that's a weird map. It's very large. Has a lot of the problems we've been talking about. Just multiple entryways into a large ramp distanced from the Nexus, so kind of hard to defend.
Wow. So, I mean, Snute, definitely nice. Basically the build order win right there, right? He goes for this super fast speedling rush versus a Nexus first on a map where defending that natural is so difficult. There's no easy way to wall it off.
And herO almost did, by the way. Like, I was...
When
My
he
heart
pulled the
was sinking
probes
a little
down
bit.
and the Lings went back, I'm like, wait, is he really?
Basically, Nate, if he has a probe on that ramp like he did originally and just drops
what if
the
he
pylon,
just lets the pylon finish there?
it's still bad because he was able to circle around the 2 adepts and the Zealot and kill it, and there was no photon overcharge because he did it at the natural, which was a little bit of a mistake from herO. He should have waited and see where the Zerglings are going to commit. Zerglings are so fast, of course. The best case scenario, unless Snute makes a huge mistake, is he puts it at the ramp, he loses 2 Zerglings, goes into the natural, and has free reign there. So it's not like herO made a huge mistake. But of course, we saw the second they went in the main, that was game.
Yeah, I mean,
that was game.
He's all over. I mean, you said it as well. He could have gone for the pylon that had warp gate researching. So great spots for Snute as he gets himself a map score. It's 2-1 now, favoring CJ and his herO. If he wins this map on Central Protocol, he will advance, eliminating Snute, and he will play against SOS.
And that's
SOS versus herO, a tale as old as time.
Probably the 2 best pro. I mean, there's going to be someone that's going to be like, Jeff, you idiot.
Someone will disagree with you, so just speak your mind.
Of course, not the best, but they're definitely in contention, guys. I think we can agree on that.
Very good players. We are loaded in to Central Protocol, and I mean, I don't get to see very many games on this. You know, most matches of StarCraft are played in best of 3, so you know, it's one of the unique parts of the best of 5 is whether or not these players like maps like this. Like, hey, these maps get vetoed out of every single best of 3. They are going to have to play them, and we're going to have to see them try to make some magic, as it were.
And just as a fan of StarCraft, I actually, I do like that. I mean, I've been to those MLGs where it's like, I have to play test bug. Oh my god!
Like watching those players be in uncomfortable positions.
Well, that's where, I mean, yeah. I think StarCraft is a game, especially in StarCraft 2, where it can become very meta-laden and very like, this is what we all do, and the games look very similar, but on these weird maps, you gotta dip into your bag of your own creativity and come out with something new.
Fast scout here for herO as he sees Snute's base, of course. Snute in the top right and herO in the bottom right. But we get these vertical spawns again, so that makes that rush distance very, very short. Is this a Roach Ravager play? I mean, he's going 2 gateways, so I'm assuming just fast adepts and trying to crush his opponent early on.
I mean, like, I'm in the same boat as you, man. This is probably my first professional PvZ I've seen on this map, so.
Yeah, I haven't cast like any games on this one except the one we did already today, so.
Yeah. I'm excited. I'm excited for our own enjoyment, and I relish in their pain, unfortunately. Because both these players would tell you, they're like, no, I don't want to play this.
Yeah.
I don't know what's going on.
Well, let's see. I guess this is where you break out your beta builds, right? It's like, well, this worked in the Legacy of the Void beta, so maybe I can just rush out a bunch of adepts. He's still going to expand, though.
That Chrono Boost is on the gateway. There's nothing being made. It is obviously a slight mistake.
I guess he's waiting, right? He's like, oh, I don't want to build any probes, so might as well just wait for the Chrono on the adept. You know, that millisecond. That millisecond in control where he clicks on the gateway and starts the adept and then Chronos it. You know, that's not enough.
It's just not perfect play, Nate, so it just
exactly.
You know what I mean?
Look at that. Alternating the Chrono so that they finish at the same time in control. Is that not TLO tier of creative?
Well, I've basically already gushed over herO as much as I'm allotted as a caster.
That's amazing. Because otherwise the other one would have finished too early, and then you can't do much with just 1 adept. Well, you can do a lot, but I mean, you can't do as much.
To answer your question, I love it.
Thank you, Jeff.
It's just, if I gush too much over a player, it becomes...
Well, I mean, you can't tell me that I'm right. You can't just tell me I'm right all the time, because then, you know, bad things happen.
Yeah.
There's no queen here yet, so these adepts can get a bit of work done.
They're going to do some work? I mean, it's just Lings and a queen anyways. Queens,
yeah, I was going to say, there were drones in the natural you could have gone for. There was no queen there. He's trying to pick up a few drones. I like this, you know, you throw that shade out, you get ready for teleport out. And yeah, I mean, the queen is done now, so it won't get as much, but 4 drones, maybe if he focuses, he gets a 5th. What do you say?
Obviously, bare bones is worth it, but just keep in mind as well that he made some sacrifices to get those 2 out. So certainly they were worth it. I'm not trying to argue that they aren't. They got great intel, killed 5 drones. and slow down the Zerg in general.
With this many Lings, though, coming out and speed being done, his natural completely open because we have another, like we said, giant ramp.
No pylon here is a bit of a mistake, by the way.
Yeah, he doesn't
Like,
have a
there's just no reason
mothership
not
core
to.
either. He just has a couple adepts.
And he's going to go ahead. And that poor adept didn't get back to the boat in time. Jeremy, no. He is adding, by the way, a Twilight Council behind this, which did he cancel it or did it finish?
He finished.
That's mega. That's weird. And that's...
I'm guessing he was going to try to do like 2 base adepts or something.
Yeah, he's also making the mushroom core out of the wrong neck.
This is just the thing. It's this map.
It gets out, okay.
Right? He just has that rush distance. It's unbelievably short.
Unfortunately, we're looking at herO not knowing what to do on a map like this, and this is what he came up with. It's like mega fast, 1 base adepts.
Has herO played a best of 5 yet in ZVP and Legacy of the Void? I don't even know. Like I would be surprised if he did.
Snoot's gonna want to pump the brakes on Lings right now.
If he's played this map. Well, you just dropped them past
the phone.
I mean, this is another thing that,
That's the wrong ramp.
He's
That's not it.
side, and he's
This
still
map
got
is really confusing in his defense.
Yeah, he's still got Lings on both sides. Resonating Glazes on the way as well for those adepts. Yeah, he's like, okay, just run around anyway.
Never mind, gentlemen.
I guess this is the one way that Snute can mess this up. Nope, no, never mind, he gets around. And Pylon's going to get overcharged. I guess if he fights here, that's, okay. He's giving herO a chance. And
what
the rush distance is so short, you don't even need creep to move your queens across the map. He's like, you know what, I guess I'm kind of committed, right?
I think he saw the Twilight Council, by the way, because he just had Spore Crawlers, so he's like, am I going to get DT'd?
It's very forward of you.
This feels like a game I should win. Am I going to get DT'd?
Feels like I'm watching Fitzy here at that MLG you were talking about.
Oh, bro, that's a throwback. He was great. He was a fun Zerg.
He played with, like, the combat helmet on and
everything. Yeah, that part was weird, but his style of play was cool. Old school reference for those of you. And these Zerglings do not want to drop right now.
Yep. I mean, he's going to try to just, teleport all these adepts out, get the queens. The Lings aren't here, and he does have adept attack speed upgrade done.
This is not a good attack.
I think the bot's drop definitely hurt quite a bit, but yeah, these adepts, when the Lings come back, they just get all over. And he can drop these Lings in the main base, too.
And he will. They're actually going to go the whole way. I love this.
I mean, he could have made... Like, the thing is, in the beta, you were never sure, because there was no different model for the Overlord, right? Wow, that is... Did that...
To be fair, there was adepts below it, so it's not, the Zerglings were they were on the teat of the Overlord, like, do we jump, brothers?
In the beta, there was no separate model for the drop Overlord, so you weren't sure. But I'm like, who are you trying to fool, Snute? Like, I don't know.
Maybe it's just scouting Overlords. The queens do die.
Like, if he had Banelings in it, and he's like, I'm just going to drop Banelings and make him think this drop is empty, and it's like, okay.
Look at the natural, by the way. How many drones are we looking at that natural? No,
not a lot.
Okay.
Total worker count's 27 to 24. herO is ahead.
Well,
I still feel like there's a lot of lost opportunities with the failed drop. The very first one where he just dropped them outside of his base, and then he could have run them into the main, but instead he didn't. So
no, I mean if Snute goes on to lose this game, he will. These are the kind of losses that feel super bad.
Especially considering that it is match point if herO wins this one. Trying to get through this sentry though. He does break it.
What?
Another force field comes down though. Still not doing anything with that Twilight Council. I guess he was considering going for some other type of aggressive play, but just didn't have the opportunity.
And all of a sudden there's adepts, which actually with those Zerglings dying, they could be mega annoying. I mean, there are roaches out, so of course, in a stand-up fight, the roaches would win. But the question is, can they? That was a weird choice.
He canceled all but 2, I guess, trying to snipe drones, but maybe he wasn't thinking about.
But there were roaches right there. I mean, he must have not been looking.
Yeah. It's a tough spot.
The fool. No, I'm just kidding. But he does see. He sees roaches coming out, and by the way, adds an immortal. Well, I just killed my punchline. There it is. Anyway, it's a robo to make immortals, and on low econ situations, immortals with sentries are gods. By the way, absolute gods.
Well, he's going straight for a robo bay, so
they're not gods when they don't exist, though.
Well,
I mean,
you can still appreciate them. You can still appreciate them.
You can worship them.
Even if they're not there.
You can worship the thought of them.
herO, he's finally got that natural mining. It's got to feel good. He's going to teleport a bunch of adepts inside. Decides to cancel his shade.
And that's the one that actually would have done something. It's funny.
I guess he doesn't want to commit them because we have a Ravager. Yeah. I mean, Snoot's getting ready for a follow-up all in is what it looks like. The Immortal is coming out too, by the way, so I'm guessing he just wants to get a quick Disruptor to follow this up.
And herO is not showing the sentries yet. Now, several sentries were spotted at the natural, of course, when the Zerglings try to run by, so if Snute remembers, he knows they exist and needs to be very careful about this ramp.
Yeah, and he's also burned out one of these Photon Overcharges. He can only afford to do one more, so his ability to defend an attack like this is substantially limited. There's the first force field. He's going to try to lock these units in. He has that Immortal. Of course, does not do bonus damage to the Ravager, but killing those is still of utmost importance. The barrier helping to soak up a lot of the heat. And actually, without the Ling reinforcements, the Immortal is able to do a lot of work on these roaches. Just needs to keep microing it back. The next overcharge really helping out as well.
Yeah,
He's
and
held.
that was a very decisive victory. Again, in a low econ situation like this, you can see Snute already going to plan B. There's the geyser, there's the drones. And again, unfortunately for Snute, because of those force fields and because of how well herO executed that defense, Snute's not going back to much. He has no upgrades, he has no lair. They're now on equal bases. Like, this game is collapsing around Snute. And with Disruptors coming out in a War Prism, we're about to see a show, a fireworks show.
Yeah, this is what's really going to set him up for a great spot. Of course, the Disruptors are just so good against this sort of army. Without Lair, you have no roach speed, so good luck dodging those Purification Novas. He's going to try to teleport a bunch of adepts, and I don't... Yeah, it's like, whatever, man. A lot of Lings.
Just keep doing that. Great intel. Keep Snute occupied. Like, what Snute has to do to control the defense of that, far and away, is more than what herO's doing. herO's not even looking. He's just like, I'm going to cancel this at the last second. Boop.
Yep. It's very nice because that shows up on your minimap. You know, he sees, he's like, oh, units are coming. Okay, I got to be prepared.
And if you don't control,
if I don't move my units, he could just let them finish.
Hello.
I mean, yeah, and there you go. He lets them finish. He's like, yeah, did you think I was going to? You think I'm not paying attention? He's going to come in. He's going to snipe the queen.
Needs to get out of here though.
And he's going to throw that shade back the other way. And oh, okay, really nice Corrosive Biles.
All right, Snute.
Get some good damage done on these.
3 of them, 4.
Almost
so actually good for Snute in that situation. I do feel like
herO taking a 3rd base, not willing to commit to it, just a complete 2-base push. He's still building Disruptors. I'm surprised he hasn't added in a Warp Prism to help with an assault.
Well, keep in mind this is a 10-minute game actually. It looks like it's minute 7 or 6 or something like that, but it's 10. There was a whole aggressive opening stage. So the 3rd base is actually really smart because Protoss falls off the face of the earth economically the second they hit 1 base. It's like so bad what you can produce with that. But 2 bases, that's kind of our happy ground. We can make everything we want with that, just not forever.
Yeah, I mean, enough championships have won off that for me to know that. And the Overlord is kind of moving around. Maybe he saw the probe. He's going to check. He should be able to spot this. A Baneling nest.
Interesting.
And Ling's on the way. So
Snute's all in. He's got to go for it. And unfortunately, the tough part about that is he's leveraging against herO's micro. Like, all-inning against herO is like,
it's like, of all the people that you could try to do this against, you're going against one of these guys that just has such a phenomenal micro. But I guess, you know, the map kind of put us in this awkward spot where we had that mega aggressive play, and then it's led into this low economy situation where neither player, you know, are having an easy time getting past 100 supply.
Well, herO's defense, man. That's why we're here. Like, Snute against most Protoss, this game is over, and Snute is easily won. But herO fought back to this, and all of a sudden herO is in the commanding position. There's Overlord speed.
Yeah, this match has truly just been a testament to herO's resolution in these scenarios. Yeah. He's done so well. Now coming up with these Disruptors, he throws out those Purification Novas. Oh, dunking on 3 Ravagers, picks off another one, and 2 more.
I love this, just one at a time. So good.
Take your time. Very patient play out of him, and he still has those force fields as well. Killing the Ravagers, of course, limits the ability to cancel or crush those force fields, excuse me. And I think he's even, he's got a Stalker here poking at this 3rd base that Snute wants to take.
Spots the base, but there's a Warp Prism.
He left his Mothership Core at his 3rd base, too, so good luck killing that.
I mean, herO's just so on top of this game. I'm loving the Sentry play. Like, I cannot wait to go home and start working on my PvZ and incorporating sentries and PvP and stuff.
It did look like he wanted to try to do some Bane Rain on this army, but picks up his Ravagers instead, having a hard time affording those Banelings. I guess Snute maybe thinks that he has a chance with that, but
that's just his only.
Yeah, he has no options, right? So I mean,
yeah, you can't be critical of anything Snute does at this point in time. It's like he himself is got to be just like, how did we get here? Why are you still alive? And he's going to add Banelings. He's going to try for a big all-in, but I mean, even in this situation,
yeah, and 4
herO's
DTs
up 40 supply. He's knocking on the door.
Oh man, it's that powerful army.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Archons are a great way too. Yeah, that'll plow through pretty much
Banelings. I mean, Archons are fantastic.
Yeah, he should see these drop Overlords. Maybe consider the possibility of what is about to hit him. But
oh
god, just getting so many Ravagers with that.
He's so on top of it while backing up. And here come the Banelings, but unfortunately with no support, that's decent damage, but it ain't going to be enough.
Snute's got nothing left. GG, herO wins 3-1 here. Intel Extreme Masters Taipei will advance on to play against SOS in the semifinals.
And score-wise, this is not the most intriguing match, but for me, this is the coolest match of the night.
Yeah,
like,
for sure.
I know, guys, I've gushed so much about herO, but also tip of that to Snute, because this is one of the rare cases where someone loses like 3-1, but I do not feel like he was just getting.
He wasn't
Snute
getting mauled.
He didn't go, full foreigner or make huge mistakes, or didn't. He actually won the build order coin flip in the one game that he won. The other games that he lost, he was ahead at certain times, or just at least threatening herO with really sound decision making and good builds. But unfortunately for him, I hope, despite losing in this first round after flying all the way to Taipei, he goes, you know what? There's more for me to do and learn, because herO just put on a clinic of top-tier play.
And Snute opened up those opportunities for himself as well.
Yes.
Like that drop, he could have had 8 lings while herO had just 3 adepts blocking that ramp. But, great play either way. herO really showing his resolution in that series. And so tomorrow, you guys will have to look forward to, as the boys in Taipei, Apollo, Kalaris, Todd. We'll be bringing you guys the semis and the finals. We have Beyond facing off against Soulkey. SOS playing against herO, so some TvZ, some PvP.
Great matchups. And again, after seeing the level of play from these guys, I cannot wait. I mean, SOS looked incredible. herO looked, all the guys looked incredible.
Hey, they all look good.
That PvP in particular, I'm really excited for, because I feel like the MC versus SOS one was good, but it was kind of one-sided. SOS was, and he won 2 games from just DTs basically murdering him. Great execution in game number 2, but I'm excited for those games. It's going to be great. I'll be watching for sure.
That's right. And that wraps it up here for us tonight, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for tuning in. This has been Nate and In Control from Burbank, bringing you guys day 1 of the Intel Extreme Masters Taipei. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Hope you tune in to the semis and the finals on day 2.